Football Queensland's coverage of the 2019 NPL, NPLW and FQPL season is brought to you by Play Football. Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au to find your nearest club. Football Foundation, making football more accessible for every income, every gender, every ability, every background, every Indigenous Queenslander. Donate today.
When you're talking about Brisbane football, it just doesn't get any better than this. It is Brisbane City against Lions, the Brisbane Classico, the two most successful clubs in football Brisbane history, and two former NSL clubs going at it head-to-head here in the National Premier League's Queensland. We're live from Corporate Travel Management Stadium here at Spencer Park for this encounter in round 21 of the National Premier League's Queensland. I'm Simon Smale. I'll be dragging you through this match, kicking and screaming, but you don't need me to hold you in your seats. You'll be glued to them and in front of your screen, however you're watching, because this game promises to be a cracker, with Brisbane City hoping to regain some pride after their rather humbling defeat in this reverse fixture at Lions Stadium all the way back in round 6. It was a 7-0 result in favour of Lions on that occasion, and it was a result that perhaps cost John Kosmina his head coaching job here at Brisbane City. A new coach is in charge, Nick Green, and he has had a pretty impressive record since he's come in. He's played 11 matches, won 6 of them, including 5 wins in a row, with 2 draws and 3 defeats. In fact, he won his first game, a drought-breaking victory at Perry Park over Brisbane Strikers. Can he do a miracle here against Lions, who are flying high in the National Premier League's Queensland table, second as things stand, behind the all-conquering Peninsula Power, but with a game in hand. They've only conceded 11 goals last year, but they've already conceded 12, so defensive issues perhaps creeping into Warren Moon's team, who haven't used too many different players. They've only used 19 so far this year. 15 of them have scored, though, so scoring them's not a problem. It's just that conceding them has started to become a little bit. Having said that, their 12 goals conceded is still a league high. Saying that, they only conceded more than 1 goal twice last year, and it's already been 3 times this season. Last year, having beaten Brisbane City in the season opener by 2 goals to 1, Sean Carlos brace cancelling out Alex Fechner's goal. They did then lose to City in the second game, thanks to Sam Sibatuara. After that, though, they went on a 12-game winning run that took them all the way to winning the Premiership Championship double. Memorable evening at Lions Stadium. Their away record so far this season, played 9-1-7, just for 1 draw, and that was last time out against Moreton Bay United, 2-2 the scoreline there. In fact, both these teams have drawn with Moreton Bay in recent weeks, and both by the same scoreline, by 2-2. They've only conceded 6 goals on their travels, though, this season, have Lions. Their only defeat coming away at Carrara against Gold Coast Knights in round 9. Since then, Lions haven't tasted defeat. That's 10 games now in a row. That 7-0 victory, it was the biggest ever win over City. It was the biggest win of the season as well. So Brisbane City do have a lot of work to do, and you have to say, as the teams are led onto the field by our Total Tools officials, that City have got it all to do. You can't talk about their season without talking about the fact that they had points stripped after they won matches in rounds 1 to 4 for fielding an ineligible player. Round 1 against Redlands United, Sunshine Coast, Peninsula Power and Gold Coast United all got stripped, and they also got hit with a $2,000 fine with $6,000 suspended. Of matches that I have records for between these two sides, and it is an extensive history between the two, City actually leads by 40 games to 39 with 20 draws. The two coaches shake hands as the players follow suit behind them. It's Nick Green for Brisbane City, former Lincoln City pro development phase coach. And Warren Moon, of course, who made his name as a Brisbane Roar player in the A-League. 14 appearances in that 2005-06 season. He's made his name as a coach and a very successful coach of Lions. Overall, City and Lions have a pretty illustrious record. There's a reason why this is the biggest game in Brisbane, certainly from a historical basis. Both teams have won the NSL Cup, City in 77 and 78. Still looking for that trophy, by the way. So if you do know where it is, get in touch with someone at the club. The Lions won their one NSL Cup in 1981. City have won 12 Brisbane Grand Finals to Lions 11. That's first and second in the all-time record. In terms of premierships, Lions are way ahead with 14. City are in equal second on 8. They both won 7 local cups. City won 4 state cups, Lions won. And of course, Lions have also won an NPL premiership, whereas City finished second and lost the grand final in 2013. It's been a barren run since then for Brisbane City, and in front of their former players, a large number of them playing on the old boys deck and enjoying the beverage options here this evening. They'll be well oiled by the time kickoff gets around, and Alex King looks like he's ready. Alex King, of course, probably the best referee in Queensland, and you'll need a top referee for a top game. Alex King will be assisted by Joseph Lee and Lauren James on the flanks. We'll just run you quickly through the teams as we prepare to kick off. It'll be Lions in the orange shirts who do get things underway. Jake Clancy will be in goal for Brisbane City. In front of him, Nathan Beagley, John Carlos Solozano. And it's Lions who get things underway. We'll come back to the team because here's a former Brisbane City player, Mitch Hoare, who goes on a bit of a right from kick-off, tried to play the ball out to that far side, unfortunately unable to make much of an impact going forward. He played it out on the full. We'll get things back going now. Andy Thompson's head, and City will have another opportunity to launch this ball forward. Tia Simic, the Lions captain, making no mistakes at the back, just hammering it upfield. Kim was being shepherded somewhat in the middle of the field, and it'll be a free kick which Kim leaves. Long ball towards the back, a little bit of a slip there by Lockie Sayers, I think, and oh, that's absolutely magical from Makwase, and it was a good save in the end by Jake Clancy. He got his angles right for Brisbane City keeper. Early threat already, and you just know Jason Makwase is a danger whenever he gets on the ball, the 26-year-old Colombian. The offside flag goes up. A few changes for Brisbane City in recent weeks. No Sam Sibatuara, no Adam Edgar, no Tom Alton. There's been a season of change here at Corporate Asia. So we'll get into that as we go forward. Sayers playing in the unfamiliar right back role. He's going to have to do his defensive duties here against Josh Brindle South. It's too deep and will be comfortably out for a goal kick. Josh Brindle South, of course, so dangerous down the left-hand side. The former Wellington Phoenix player, spent some time in Victoria as well with Bentley Greens and Green Gully. Victoria was, of course, the destination for Sam Sibatuara as well, Brisbane City's captain at the start of the season. He's gone to pastures new. Just adding to the headaches for Nick Green, who has done well since he's come into the side. City are winless in their last 3 matches, though. It ended that 5-game winning run. The wins coming against the bottom 5 teams: Redlands, South West Queensland Thunder, Magpies Crusaders, Western Pride and Sunshine Coast. The other win of their season coming away at Perry Park. That's the first time ever that City have beaten Brisbane Strikers at Perry Park, so that was a significant notch in Nick Green's belt early doors in his City career. Standing on the edge of his technical area, just being shadowed by Billy Lumley, the goalkeeper coach, who'll be keeping a close eye on his charges that have been bolstered by the return of Pat Millard from the UK. He spent some time with Stevenage Borough over there. It's a decent cross, had to be headed away. Mitch Hoare with the fast feet, but it's still broken away. Matthias Simic reads the game so well and will launch another attack. Mitch Hoare on the overlap from Makwase. Hoare wants an option. It didn't quite sit for him, but he'll get it back to Makwase. Makwase's so dangerous, tries to chip it inside. Lions again dealing with it defensively so well. Tommy Jarrett gets the ball out to that far side of the field, and Chris Hatfield, and that ball is ended up in the creek. We'll need a new one. Won't be the first that's been kicked over here this season, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last either. That did take a touch off a Brisbane City head, and it will be a corner kick. An early Alex King getting that right. Lauren James needing the correction over on that far side of the field. Hugely experienced referee, hugely respected referee Alex King. Some of the footage of him just talking to the referee, talking to the players, just shows how much respect the players have. As that ball went all the way across, Mitch Hoare chips it in towards the back post. Simic was there. Shot is still on. Thompson, it's well over the top. Does have 2 goals to his name, in fact, both coming in separate matches against Easts, the game prior to playing Brisbane City. So he did score last week. He'll need to do a hell of a lot better if he's to score this week on those situations. But another promising sign for Lions, and it has been all the visitors so far in the orange shirts. Five minutes gone. Still 0-0 if you've just joined us. Simon Smale bringing you all the action from the National Premier League's Queensland Round 21 clash between Brisbane City and Lions. It's Brisbane City, who haven't had much of a ball in an attacking sense so far, but they do here. It's well cut out though by Andy Thompson. Hooked back upfield, but only as far as Sean Carlos, who scored twice here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium last season. Jesse Rigby trying to release Solozano. Rigby will go again. Solozano will continue his run. It was well shepherded by Matthias Simic, and it will be a goal kick. It came off Solozano last, I think. Good chase from Solozano and good endeavour and inventiveness from Jesse Rigby. He's been hugely efficient with his play, Jesse Rigby, over the last few years, both with City this season and with Pride in the seasons prior. Of course, he was the captain at Western Pride as well. He's wearing the armband here tonight for Brisbane City. Hugely impressive player. Gets himself about in the middle of the park, makes a nuisance of himself. Has a really cutting delivery as well from any part of the field. Poses a threat and will get up ahead of his markers as well. But that was not Jesse Rigby, that was Lockie Sayers. Difficult to tell with these numbers. Not quite as visible as you'd expect from numbers on the back of shirts. Good work there from Jeske in the middle. Jeske and Sayers and Rigby all conspiring to steal that ball off Lions, and Jeske launches that ball forward. That's a tasty looking ball towards Simmons, the new signing, just playing his 4th game, and he's won a corner for his side, has Simmons. 23-year-old from Lincoln. Joined the club from Gainsborough Trinity. It's in the upper reaches of England's non-league tier. They have slipped down to the 7th tier for this upcoming season, have Gainsborough Trinity, the Lincoln-based club, or Lincolnshire-based club at least. And Simmons has been around the traps in Lincolnshire. Lincoln and Boston. I know Boston fans prefer to be called Bostonshire, but let's not let the facts get in the way of things. Decent delivery. Arriving late was Beagley. No, it wasn't Beagley at all. It was Mark Stewart. Beagley's going to have to get himself back. No foul, says referee King. As if Duckworth wasn't happy. Here's an opportunity. Comes off a Lions defender, and it will be a corner. Kai Fechner hasn't scored many goals this season, just the one in fact, the 18-year-old. It came against Moreton Bay United earlier in the year. Managed 4 in 8 games last season. Real impact coming up from the youth ranks. He was used sparingly by John Cosmina by virtue of the fact that he was involved in GPS football. Get a sense he'll become a key player in Brisbane City's season as Luke Berean rises highest and takes that ball. That's an excellent job from the Lions keeper, and he uses his hands to get that ball out to Josh Brindle-South. Brindle-South with the long ball up towards Mitch Hoare. It was a heavy touch, and that is sliced rather uglily by Simmons. His numbers are almost impossible to see, I'm afraid to say. I know I'm not the first person to comment on that. It's Kai Fechner to older brother Alex. A little untidy, but he keeps possession against Andy Thompson. And he'll play his brother in. It's going to be shepherded out, is it? No, Jared has to go back to Berean, and Berean goes no nonsense back up the field. It's off the head of Beagley to Alex Fechner. Kai Fechner may well give chase to Kim, and Kim, under a little bit of pressure, puts that ball out. City's home record in 2019, not great. Only won 2 games against Western Pride, 5-0 and South West Queensland Thunder. I wonder how much about that will be due to the surface. It took an ugly bounce, that ball, and as you'll be able to see, it's not particularly aesthetically pleasing, I think it's fair to say. Josh Brindle-South was nowhere near where that ball went out, still tried to take it early. He'll be forced back inside his own half. Alex King won't miss those. Nice little flick on there by Duckworth, but will come straight back for a Josh Brindle-South throw. He'll go long once again towards Duckworth. That time Lockie Sayers got over the top. Jeske, and now Kai Fechner. That was a little untidy from Kim. Good advantage being played by Alex King, and King will tell Brisbane City to get on with it. Nice little ball over the top towards Simmons. Berean out of play. And he keeps it in. That's excellent work from Berean, and that's awkward. Here's Duckworth. Billy Lumley appealing vociferously for a handball. He didn't get that call from Alex King, who was ideally placed. Kim. Mitch Hoare back inside to Duckworth. Duckworth looked for the return ball to Mitch Hoare. He gets it back anyway. He was shepherded out by Jesse Rigby brilliantly, though. Brisbane City captain doing his work exceptionally in front of the defence. A lot of space, though, for Sean Carlos. There's Mitch Hoare popping up again. Wide to Thompson. Here's Hatfield. And Hatfield wins a corner. Good attacking build-up play by Lions. Brisbane City being pegged back inside their own penalty area in these early stages. 12 minutes gone. It is still goalless here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Brisbane City against Lions in the National Premier League Queensland Round 21 clash for Brisbane Classico as it's being billed. The 2 most successful clubs in Football Brisbane's history. Corner swept in. Could be danger here. Sean Carlos rose highest but missed the ball. And Solozano hammers it upfield. It's going to come back. Kim. That's Mkwaze getting involved, but lovely touch by Simmons, and he releases Kai Fechner. Fechner has space ahead, and that's a decent ball. And a free kick is given, and a yellow card to Josh Brindle-South. That was Alex Fechner who did the business. Kai and Alex linking up very well at the moment, the two Fechner boys. It's popping up on opposite wings. This is a promising position for a Brisbane City free kick to be delivered. Alex King made no delay in getting that card out. Who is going to deliver it? Does look like Lockie Sayers fancies it, but so does the Englishman Simmons. Simmons it is. Is there a flick on? No. Luke Berean just stood his ground and claimed the ball, and I think he'd be quite thankful for that. Not sure who it was running across. It might have been Mark Stewart who attempted to get his head on that. Managed to get his head on that time in his defensive role. Here's Solozano. It's a poor pass towards Brindle-South by Carlos. That had to be a handball, and Alex King saw it. It wasn't just Billy Lumley who got up that time. Sean Carlos can't believe that that's been given us a free kick against him for handball. You might want to check his literature. It certainly was a handball. We had an ideal view of it here in the grandstand. A grandstand that's fairly well populated here for what is a big game. Carlos getting the better of Jeski there, and here comes Mitch Hoare again. He'll be looking to do good things against his former club. Sean Carlos, they'll go wide to Hatfield. Hatfield has Thompson on the over. Here is Thompson. Hatfield gets it back. Thompson on the stretch. Hatfield's going to get to the byline. It was well cut out. It'll be another corner for the Lions. They are really flexing their claws early. There's often talk of gladiators taking on Lions in antiquity. At the moment, it's the Lions who are doing the damage. Corner swept in towards the penalty area. It's a bit of a floater. Kim will head it back inside. There is it for Carlos. That was not far away at all. Always going away, it looked like. You just get the feeling he didn't quite get hold of it. Not in its entirety anyway, and if he had, we may well have seen the net bulge as Jake Clancy was rooted to the spot, and he couldn't have done anything regardless. Sloppy pass out from the back by Jones. Rigby leaping back to help out Jones on that occasion. That's what I mean about Jesse Rigby. He just gets everywhere. Here's Matthias Simic going on a mazy run. Rarefied FE attacking left flank for Matthias Simic. Normally suited to the centre-back role. Has had injuries this season, limiting him to just 13 appearances. He did, in fact, score a goal against Brisbane City, his only goal of the season. He only managed 2 last year. And he is well in advance of over 100 games for Brisbane City. Excellent work there by Lockie Sayers to close that cross down, and then he gets the ball upfield as well. A little bit of a high foot from Simmons perhaps, and Simic might just need a little bit of time to check those ribs out. Simmons didn't even get a talking to really from Alex King, just the foul was there, but Matthias Simic might be in a little spot of bother here. It did look awkward, the boot was high, and it might have just been the way that he fell on that boot. I do wonder what defensive options Lions have at the back. I mean, Nathan Reardon could come in. Warren Moon hasn't used a huge number of players so far this season. Just pressing his case, but that might have been a little bit more than just a foul by Englishman Alex Simmons. Much. We'll take this opportunity to talk about the Oldie Mini Roos. In a nutshell, it's an introductory program for children aged between 4 and 9 years old. Each weekly 45-minute game-based activity. It's an enormous amount of fun and gives the kids the skills from which they can press on and play the game once they get a little bit older. They get an Aldi Mini Roos participant pack, which includes a boot bag, football, water bottle, and a sheet. So that'll keep the younger kids entertained, and I know here at Brisbane City they've got an excellent youth program, and particularly with those real young junior kids. Tom Kenny does an excellent job with them. Always seems to be having fun down here on a Saturday morning and over at the Mark Street playing fields. Matthias Simic just stretching at the moment. He'll go off for a brief spell, but we will be able to continue with the game. 18 and a half minutes gone. It's still Brisbane City 0, Lions 0, and Luke Berean will take this free kick and drift it towards the back post. Hatfield's going to have a little go to get at the back there. Duckworth was challenging too. City do conspire to get this ball upfield though. They've got it up to Simmons. He tries to play in Solozano. Solozano with the nice little turn. Has a little bit of space to work in now, Solozano. Kai Fechner was the man waiting there, but it was really well dealt with by Josh Brindle South. That was a nice little move from Brisbane City on the counter-attack. Now it'll be the men in orange going forward. Mkwaze linking up well with Mitch Hoare. Kim's pass was wayward though, and here's an opportunity now for Brisbane City and Simmons. So Lozano's inside. So's Alex Fechner at the back post, reaching. Never quite got enough contact to challenge Luke Berean. That's a lovely ball from Simmons though. I like what I've seen of him so far, the 23-year-old. Looks to be a really good player that Brisbane City have managed to acquire in the last month or so. Berean hits this one deep over the attacking third. Chesky didn't know where that was. Quasi certainly knew where the sideline was and let that ball run out over it. Brindle South. Duckworth just trying to use his body. Headed up by Jones. Kai Fechner tried to get that through. Testing one for Beagley. Beagley does really well to get that back to Clancy. And Beagley on the run. That's where he's dangerous going forward. Deep, deep ball. It's safety first by Jared, heads it up into the centre of the field. Carlos can't get his foot on it though, and here is Jeski. Sayers. Simmons went to deck, wanted a free kick. Alex King wasn't obliging. It'll be a Lions throw. Quarter through this game as Rigby once again leaps from nowhere. In probably clad and shaped salmon to get that ball. Might need to be called upon here once again. That was Sayers who got his head to it. Simmons put snow on that. He hit it so high. Eventually we get the ball back on the deck, and it's with Lyons and Andy Thompson over on that far side. That was a poor pass though, and here comes Nathan Beagley. It's a really poor pass. Not a lot of composure being shown there by Beagley. Alex Fechner not hiding his displeasure. He's being told before the game that Alex is a little bit upset with his goal-scoring drought at the moment. It's only 3 games. He's scored 6 goals this season from 14 games. Came back from a dislocated shoulder at the back end of last season. He's done well to do that. It was affecting him at the start of this season, I believe, as well. So it's good to see him back on the field. He's a talented player, the youngster, both him and his brother. Here is the older of the Fechners now. Squeezed for cross past Thompson, but couldn't get it past Jared. And now Sean Carlos is on the deck. Worth mentioning that there's no Marek Madley out there at the moment for Lions. He has scored 13 goals this season, scored in each of his last 3 games, and scored last time out against Brisbane City. It'll be interesting to hear from Warren Moon after this one as to why he was rested, you would assume, as Sayers has an opportunity, a second opportunity to get that ball free. Simmons is stalking Matthias Simic. Simic gets it back to Berean. Berean cool and calm as you like. Was Beagley pushed there? Certainly looked like Hatfield used his body intelligently, let's say. Beagley did let Alex King know that he felt that he'd been pushed. South Australian native. Nothing doing, says Alex King. Wash up is that it'll be a Brisbane City throw over on that far side. Control from Kai Fechner. He's turned himself into a spot of bother though, and it will be a Lions throw. No real support for Kai Fechner over on that far side. Not on that occasion at least. Still goalless here. Duckworth with the touch. Back to Thompson. Thompson takes it past one, but Kai Fechner makes amends, although he is then dispossessed by Kim. That's a really good save by Jake Clancy. You'd back Jason McQuarrie 9 times out of 10 from there. And he just couldn't get enough of the right type of shot on that. It just looked like he was shooting in all the wrong areas, and for Clancy, who did make an impressive save, it actually made it look rather regulation. What's that? Jason McQuarrie, who's still down. Perhaps he got a little bit of a knock for his troubles after shooting that ball over the bar. It is a free goal kick, so there was no touch from Jake Clancy, which makes the miss all the more glaring from Jason McQuarrie, to be honest. He's scored 7 goals this season. He's the equal second highest goal scorer for Lions, alongside Sean Carlos and a fair few behind Marek Madley. Didn't play last time they played City. Has scored in 6 of his last 9 games though, but not the last 2. Former Redlands United and Strikers player, so there is that. And yet another injury concern for Warren Moon, who's deep in conversation with Joey Lee at the moment as to perhaps what was going on there. Like Nathan Shepherd is warming up, so there must be a fair bit of concern for Jason McQuarrie here. While we're waiting for this stoppage in play to get back underway, footballqueensland.com.au. It's your one-stop shop for all your latest National Premier League's Queensland, National Premier League's Women's Queensland, Football Queensland Premier League news, and of course all the community news from around the state. You get previews, reviews, and of course links to goals of the week. So check out footballqueensland.com.au, and of course you can check out the social media accounts as well. Football Queensland on Instagram and Facebook, and of course Twitter at FootballQLD is where you need to go for that. And wash up of that all is that it's a goal kick, so I was giving Jake Clancy false praise, so I will retract that. And Jason McQuarrie, maybe pride was damaged more than his hip as he wanders back onto the field in back play. Heavy touch from Hatfield, and then he rather chopped down on that ball. It is a throw into Lions. Thompson took a couple of metres at liberty there. He'll have another opportunity here to deliver the ball halfway inside Brisbane City's half. Gets it back from Carlos. Poor. Thompson made a meal out of that though. Fortunately, Kim's there to win possession back. Thompson wide towards Hatfield. Hatfield and Beagley. Hatfield managed to escape the attentions of one defender, but not the second. Still there for Andy Thompson though. He delivers across deep towards Makwaze. He won't miss now. City had a life not that long before. You can't give Lions too many opportunities though, and Makwaze did not miss second time around. His 8th goal of the season, and Lions are a goal to the good. It's Brisbane City 0, Lions 1. Lovely ball from the deep by Andy Thompson. Really managed to deliver that ball perfectly into the middle. And it was still a little bit awkward. It's just that quick play from Lions, just getting the game back underway quickly over on that far side from the throw-ins. That's a really good header from Thompson. Jones really took a piece out of Joe Duckworth there. Be a free kick to Lions. Good header back inside by Sean Carlos as well. Mitch Hall missed it. Jason Makwaze did not. The big men have come forward for this free kick. Drifted towards the back post. The header's there. Good save, Clancy. It might have been drifting wide, the header from Josh Brindle South, but nevertheless, if you're not 100% sure where your post is, you've got to make certain that you're going to catch it. Sean Carlos can't keep that one in. Lockie Sayers is over to take the throw in front of the Lions dugout. Happy Lions dugout. Rigby hasn't had much of time at the ball, with the ball at his feet in these early stages, but he's certainly managed to do his disrupting work well. He'll want more ball as the game continues though, and he can make his little passes just like that one. Simmons with the cross. Solozano was there. Josh Brindle South knew it, so it's out for a throw-in. Solozano will take quickly, or perhaps he won't. Solozano wanted to take it quickly. He stares up at the heavens. A little bit of frustration, perhaps, from the 31-year-old Costa Rican. Kai Fechner, lovely from Lockie Sayers. Simmons dispossessed by Hoare, and then Makwaze is also dispossessed. Hoare didn't appreciate the little tap by Simmons to get the ball a little bit further away from him. I'm not quite sure that's where the free kick should be taken from. Brindle South, Lions have done that a couple of times already in this game. Tried to steal a couple of extra metres. And realistically, it's worked against them. They wanted to get things moving quickly because Luke Berean will take his time to wander out to get that ball and play it back in the right place. Joey Lee was marking it and acknowledged Luke Berean's movement back. Gives that one plenty of wallop. It's onto the head of Lockie Sayers. Lockie Sayers back to Sean Carlos, and Sean Carlos puts that one over his head, but it will be out for a Brisbane City throw. Sayers will take. Right idea towards Solozano, but it was cut out by Makwaze. Two, of course, were strike partners last season for Lions. Thompson did hit his hand, I think. That's a throw in. No, it's not. It is a free kick. Beagley a little confused over on that far side of the field. seen a few of these accidental handballs given. I think that's the way football's going with VAR. Any time it does touch the hand, we'll have the microscopes out. No VAR here, of course. Goal kick to Lions, and that was rather tapped away in frustration by Simmons, who realised his mistake and that City are chasing the game and went to get the ball quickly. Luke Barian is a man not to be rushed, though. A man who spent 5 games here at Brisbane City in 2014 before embarking on a mazy trip around the southeast corner of the state with the Thunder and Moreton Bay United before settling down at Richlands with Lions in 2017 when we were back in the Brisbane Premier League. Alex Fechner tried to hook that one on, unable to do so thanks to Andy Thompson's presence. Oh, awkward from Simic. Here's an opportunity for Simmons perhaps, crowded out of it by a combination of Tommy Jarrod and Josh Brindle-South. A little bit more adventure from Brisbane City though since going behind, and it can only be a good thing for Nick Green's side. Sayers. There is movement ahead of him. Kai Fechner was the man who got himself most free, although he's been crowded out by 3 Lions players. One of them, Mitch Hoare, plays the ball out towards Jason McQuarrie. McQuarrie goes back to Brindle-South. Brindle-South upfield, all sorts of space, and Joe Duckworth. And on the hook around is Mitch Hoare. Mitch Hoare running into the edge of the penalty area. Delightful cross over the head of Chris Hatfield. It's going to go all the way over to the other side where Sean Carlos is waiting. Carlos will get it back after losing out to Alex Fechner initially. Lovely touch from Hatfield over on that far side. Hatfield battles past one, doesn't get the better of... Who is it over on that far side? Mark Stewart, I think. Brian, a long way out of his area. It's headed back towards Solozano. Solozano goes to ground after contact from Simic. I think he rather turned into Matthias Simic, and the 2 former teammates do exchange a polite word when they pick themselves up. And once again, Jesse Rigby just leaps from nowhere, like a jack in the box, just pinging around and launching. And he took that off Lockie Sayers' head as well as Mitch Hoare. Disruptor in chief is Jesse Rigby in a Brisbane City shirt. Can play as well, though. It'd be unfair to label him as just a disruptor. Duckworth with the cross. Clancy at full stretch. Hatfield was lurking, but it looked like he was being covered fairly well by Beagley. Here's Jones. Sayers back inside to Jones. Jones tried to spread that through towards Rigby. Rigby can't get hold of it though. Sean Carlos' radar's not quite been on today. Here's an opportunity for Lions to perhaps peg Brisbane City in the final 10 minutes of this first half in which Lions have grabbed the opening goal. Jason McQuarrie, who missed a sitter early doors. I had credited Jake Clancy with a save, but it certainly wasn't a save. It was just a miss from bang in front by Jason McQuarrie. He didn't miss when given an opportunity just a couple of minutes later. A free header off a looping cross, and he powered it into the back of the net. Occurred in the 29th minute of the match. Since then, the game has rather settled down. We haven't seen the fireworks that we saw all the way back in 6, and I think for the majority of the crowd here today, they're probably quite thankful for that. Having said that, I think it was 1-0 at half-time in that game. Maybe 2-0 at half-time to Lions for an extraordinary burst. It's not great distribution from Jake Clancy. It's something he has had trouble with in the past. You could see as the ball was bouncing away, but it really was bobbling. This surface is not helping the way Brisbane City want to play their football. I don't think it's helping Lions too much either. Mitch Hoare picks up the ball from Sean Carlos, goes wide to Duckworth. Duckworth with the shot, was it? All the way across, and it took a deflection on its way. It will be a Lions corner. Duckworth has a tendency for the spectacular, particularly when he was wearing a South West Queensland Thunder shirt. He also scored the 7th against City all the way back in round 6. Go short to Makwase with the corner. Thompson, it took a deflection, awkward, but it actually set up quite nicely for Clancy in the end. He throws out wide to Alex Fechner. Fechner against Kim. Brindle South is in support for Lions, but Fechner breezes past Kim and then gets a stray shove in the back from Matthias Simic. You've seen them get yellow cards before now. None are forthcoming on this occasion from Alex King. Just for one card so far this half, that delivered to Josh Brindle South, but Matthias Simic, he knew exactly what he was doing and he had to make that call, because otherwise Alex Fechner, he was just ghosting in between players there in orange shirts. He did Kim like he wasn't even there, and it looked like Josh Brindle South was stuck in glue compared to the fleet-footed nature of Alex Fechner. Cross is delivered towards the back post and Beagley, flag is up. Beagley can't believe it's offside, but having seen Beagley play all last season, it's not beyond the realms of fantasy, you have to say. He shouldn't be offside in those situations though. Here's Mitch Hoare going up against Jeske. Jeske's rather drifted out of the game in recent minutes. Jason Makwase up against Rigby. It won't be easy to get past Rigby, but Makwase makes it look easy, and then with the cross, perhaps wishes he'd perhaps cut it back to one of 4 Lions who were waiting on the edge of the penalty area for that very delivery. Instead he went for goal, as he well might. He does have 1 goal to his name off his head. Perhaps he wants to make amends for that glaring miss earlier on in the half. Former academia player from Colombia, has played with Redlands and Strikers as well. Kai Fechner, it's gone to Alex Fechner. Kim once again has been rather shown up by the pace of Alex Fechner there, and gets a yellow card for his troubles as well. Stuck the boot out, did Danny Kim, the 20-year-old. His father was the youngest ever player for South Korea, Danny Kim. Former Brisbane Roar product, Danny Kim. Did have a spell in Victoria with Hume. His only goal of the season came against Brisbane City in the reverse fixture. Sayers this one, it's a easy one to take for Luke Berean. He delivers it wide to Hatfield. Hatfield was coming up against a battering ram. You could see that collision coming a mile off, but both players did well to avoid it. But Jesse Rigby wasn't taking no for an answer when it came to the ball, and he hammered that one into the Lions dugout. Warren Moon delivering some quite animated instructions to Matthias Simic. Simic had to stretch to get that one. The hand goes up from Alex Simmons, and you can tell why. That was a really good ball, and had Simic just not able to get his boot up, Simmons would have been one-on-one with Luke Berean, and I, for one, would buy a ticket to watch that show. Kai Fechner came off Josh Brindle South, another Brisbane City throw. Lockie Sayers tells his teammates where he wants them to be. None of them have moved there yet. They split like some sort of fighter jets in formation, but not the most effective fighter jets, it has to be said. Lions do steal possession, but he'll have another opportunity, Lockie Sayers. Wanted to go over the top to Simmons. Simmons rather checked his run. He's being shadowed by Danny Kim. Now Jesse Rigby gets his foot on the ball, plays it back to Sayers. Sayers puts a teasing one into the middle, the only person there in red. Jared's header is met by Hatfield. It was untidy though. City have possession. Rigby plays the way he's facing back towards Stewart. Beagley can deliver them well from here. That wasn't one of his better ones though. Josh Brindle South will help it out. It'll be a throw in over on that far side for Brisbane City. 3 minutes remaining plus stoppage time in this first half. Brisbane City trailing Lions by 1-0. Has been much more even since Lions scored the opener. Will we have an equaliser before the half? Was that Jesse Rigby? Couldn't get his shot away, not least past Jason McQuarze. Jones had to be good there and was. Joe Duckworth was lurking. Mitch Hoare and Duckworth. Both been good for Lions so far. Jesse Rigby probably City's best. He won that header then. Jones won there. Solozano keeps it in. Lovely from Solozano. Rigby. He wanted the run to be made by Kai Fechner, I think. Either that or Drew Jeske. Former Souths man, not showing too much inclination to get forward so far. But perhaps it was a wishful thinking ball. Ball that's disappeared apparently. Still in the confines of the stadium here at Spencer Park. As Jones hammers that one upfield. Brindle South. Jeske looked to be shoved off that ball by the sprightly figure of Mitch Hoare, and that was a bad tackle, was it? No. Alex King says he got the ball, and Joe Duckworth's furious. And now a sarcastic clap. Was it a sarcastic clap? No, there's a little bit of a discussion going on. I think Alex Fechner was the man who got shown the yellow card over on that far side of the field. Jeske's still blowing up about the fact that it wasn't a free kick earlier. It's all got a little bit confused in the middle of the field, it has to be said. The wash-up is that Lions will have a free kick and will deliver the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. There's a little bit of a discussion though, and I think Alex Fechner was the man who got shown a yellow card. Difficult to tell. There were 3 Brisbane players in attendance. Must have been a good tackle first up though from the Brisbane City player in the midfield. Direct free kick. Oh, Clancy fumbles McQuarze. It's hammered off the line. It was Matt Jones who was back there, and Clancy is down. And that will upset Andy Thompson because I think his eyes lit up at the vacant goal there, but Clancy looks to be in a spot of bother. Zoe Russell, the physio here, gets herself onto the field to check on Jake Clancy. Clancy, incidentally, in the second match of the 2018 season against Lions, did have to go off injured when City were leading by a 1-0. It was a remarkable game. The defensive work that City put in after Sam Sibatuara scored the only goal of the match just before half-time. That in itself was interesting because on average Lions were conceding a goal every 214 minutes or something. I do have notes down here somewhere. 167 minutes on average they were conceding a goal. Sam Sibatuara scored 167 minutes after Lions conceded the goal they conceded before. So right on cue, Sam Sibatuara broke the deadlock, and that was how it stayed. But Jake Clancy did have to get subbed off in that match last year. Finn Matheson was the keeper who came on. This was only one of only 2 appearances that he made. Pat Millard is stripped off and ready to go on the sideline. Looks to be a little upset that he isn't going to get an opportunity to get some action on his return to Brisbane City. Simic with the powerful header will focus back on the game in the present. Kim goes wide to Hatfield. Hatfield up against Jeske. Jeske does well. Yeah, 90 seconds into stoppage time. Alex King has just had a look at his watch, and I think he just assessing how much extra time he is going to play. Duckworth, Hoare, Hatfield, Thompson with the floater. It's onto the roof of the net, and that's where it will stay. So a tough half for Brisbane City. Well, they've really fought their way back into this match, and that's been due to the efforts of Jesse Rigby and Alex Simmons, who looks a real prospect up top. The Englishman, here he is challenging for the ball now, although Brindle South gets there first. Makwase, man on the ball now, scored the only goal of the game, 29th minute. Space all of a sudden for Sean Carlos. It was a really good challenge there by Stewart. There's an opportunity, the flag goes up against Alex Simmons and Simmons puts it over the bar anyway. I don't think Alex King is going to do anything other than have a brief word with Alex Simmons. Simmons perhaps saying, can we not go inside and get some warm drinks inside us at half time? It is a chilly night here in the southeast corner of Queensland after another perfect day in Brisbane. And chilly is relative. I mean, for Queenslanders it's chilly. For everybody else around the world, this would be a perfectly pleasant evening. We'll be in the middle of winter, or what passes as winter here in this part of the world. Sayers shepherds that one out. Got a little nudge from Duckworth. Still we play on, 3.5 minutes now. Alex King has played on. Just letting players know, I think, how much time there is to go. Mitch Hall all of a sudden got in behind. He was shepherded out by Jeske. We're going to have time for this corner. This will be a hammer blow to Brisbane City's endeavours in the second half of this first period. Should Lions get a goal here? Big men are up. Crowding around. Headed clear at the near post. Still there though for Jason Makwase. That is all we're going to have in this opening 49 minutes. 4 minutes of added time played. A small smashing of applause from the fairly healthy crowd. As I've already mentioned, here it is Old Boys Day. The majority of the old boys are at the bar, and I imagine that's where they'll stay. City 0, Lions 1 at the break. We've still got plenty of football to be played here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium, so don't go anywhere. We'll come back after these short messages for the rest of this National Premier League's Queensland Round 21 clash.
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit.
It's healthy and safe.
And fun.
I play for celebration.
What's your reason? Join our team.
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade. We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Don't be afraid, don't hold back, just come and do it. You know, we're a bunch of old women that got involved and never done it before, and we had a lot of fun, so come and do it.
Honestly, the energy has been great and everybody's just enjoying it so much, and it's been a really good competition.
It doesn't matter what your skill level is, just come and have fun, that's what it's about. And, you know, as you can hear and see behind me, it's a lot of fun, everyone's getting involved.
It's a great opportunity, these carnivals, for players to measure themselves against other players around the state.
Our kids have learned a lot of lessons. We've had some very challenging games, been good quality games, and it's been a good exposure for the players that don't get the opportunity to play this level of teams to get the challenges and move forward with it and learn from the experience.
Well, I see the SAP like the foundations of a house. We're trying to develop the technical skills needed to play at the high level. I think in 2020, through the success of the carnivals we've done this year, is probably to invite SAP teams from around Australia and make it bigger. So rather than them playing teams that they're used to playing, they'll play against teams from other states.
Hey Emily, it's Jodie here. I cannot express how proud we are enough here at Redlands United. I remember the first day that you got a call up for the Open Ladies team, and you told me that you were nervous and a little bit overwhelmed, and I just laughed because I knew then that you had more skill than you were aware of. And now here we are a decade later and you're in the Matildas, and I know that you can't be nervous because you've got this and you are going to smash it. From all of us here at Redlands, thanks so much and good luck, Matildas.
1, 2, 3, Matildas!
Look, Emily at the World Cup from Cleveland District State High School. Yeah,
Go Matildas! Go Matildas! Good luck in the World Cup. Katrina, you're my hero. Good luck! Good luck in the World Cup. You'll do great. Go Matildas. We love you. Good luck in the World Cup. Good luck in the World Cup, and I hope you have fun. Go Matildas. Go Matildas.
Hi.
Good luck.
Hi Mackenzie, David Brand here from Burley Head Soccer Club. Just a quick message to wish you all the best for the World Cup. The club is really proud of your achievements, as we are proud of all of our Gold Coast girls and all of the Matildas. So on behalf of Burley Head Soccer Club, all the best, and bring home the World Cup. Thank you very much.
Go Bulldogs! Go Mackenzie! Go
We are Matildas.
We are Matildas.
We are Matildas.
We are Matildas.
We are Matildas! We are Matildas!
We are Matildas.
We are Matildas!
My favourite part about playing football is that it's fun.
Because it's fun.
It's
and
competitive.
it improves your ability to do stuff. Because it's fun and you get to have fun and meet new people. It's just the game I play and it's a lovely sport.
And because it's fun and I'm playing with my friends.
I like to play football because it's a great experience to make new friends.
I like to play football because it's fun, you don't have to use your hands, and it's really fun to play. Teamwork, passing, and to never give up.
All that matters is just have fun and do your best.
Welcome back to Corporate Travel Management Stadium, where Brisbane City trail Lions by a 1-0 here at half-time. 45 minutes still remaining, though, for Brisbane City, who were a lot better after they conceded, to get themselves back into this game and get something from this game. A couple of other scores from around the traps tonight. We'll start up in Mackay. The Magpies and Crusaders are tying Redlands United 1 each. 36 minutes gone in that one up at Soligenkin Oval. It's also a draw between Western Pride and South West Queensland Thunder, so two massive games in terms of a relegation fight. It's 0-0 out at Briggs Road as Brisbane City in the blue shirts get us underway, and it is Jeske with that arrowing cross towards Nathan Beagley, who trots back now because Lions have possession with Makwaze. Makwaze back to Josh Brindle South. Brindle South is being closed down quickly by Solozano. Untidy. Still untidy, but here become Brisbane City. Solozano on the overlap from Simmons. The other match, of course, has a bit of an impact at the other end of the table. Gold Coast Knights hosting Peninsula Power at Carrara, and it is the Knights who lead by a 1-0 at half-time there. Mitch Nichols scoring the opening goal on the half-hour mark. Mitch Nichols has been such a key player for Gold Coast Knights since he has signed, and having a player of his quality in this league is hugely important, and it helps a lot of the players around him, I think, and it's pretty impressive for Gold Coast Knights to have him in the side. You can see the effect that he's having. He scored his opening goal of his Knights career against Power in the FFA Cup. He scored the winner in extra time, or the first goal in extra time. He scored a goal in extra time, one way or the other. So for him to get another one, he must obviously like Peninsula Power. A little bit of news from around the grounds as well. Nazari, latterly of Olympic, of course the Afghanistan national team, just signed with Western Pride, so Western Pride will be hoping that he can make his mark. And just as I say that, Gold Coast Knights have scored a second at the start of the second half. So Peninsula Power, who lead the league, will see their advantage reduced to Lions, who currently are set for 3 points here. Long way to go, though, in this match, as Clancy launches that ball out of the hands to Alex Simmons. Simmons back to Sayers. All the way back to Luke Berean, a rather fruitless exercise after Clancy, who looked like he's got plenty in the tank to get that ball up field out of the hand like that. We're wanting to utilise that a little bit more in this second half from Brisbane City. Thompson jumped very early there against Fechner. It's Alex Fechner. There are two Fechners on the field at the moment. Kai's on the overlap here for Simmons. Simmons does just enough, though. He gets the ball back off Rigby, just getting the better of Kim, the pair of them. Alex Fechner delivers that ball towards the edge of penalty area. Sean Carlos heads it clear, but it's still with Brisbane City. Stewart headed away again, that time by Matthias Simic, who looked like he might have damaged a rib in the first half. He's continued gamely, though, and is not showing any ill effects. Hatfield forced to check by Beagley. That's a lovely ball, though, wide towards Duckworth. Duckworth looking to pick his spot. Makwaze's at the back post. Headed away at the second opportunity by Sayers. It's still there for Sean Carlos. Scored 2 here last year. It's going to come back to Mitchell. He scored plenty here. Jason Makwaze, 2-0. The ball went through the net. That might have caused a little bit of confusion. But Makwaze gets his second. Lions have their second. And Brisbane City, that's not the start that Nick Green would have wanted at the start of his second half. Brisbane City 0, Lions 2. short inquest taking place out there. Makwase had so much space over on that far side. Lockie Sayers certainly last season wasn't playing that much as a right back. Wonder how much he's been pigeonholed into that position as Duckworth does well to close that one down. Stewart gets away with one there really and then plays one into the head of Sean Carlos. Sean Carlos with a furtive glance back towards Brisbane City's centre-back. City needs to be a little bit more switched on here because we can see, and we did see what happened when Lions get a run on against this Brisbane City side all the way back in round 6. I don't want to hark on about it. I've mentioned it enough times already. But it went from 2-0 to 7-0 pretty quickly, let's put it that way. 2-0 at half-time was the score back at Lions Stadium. And it was 4 goals in just 10 minutes that really broke the game open. Before Lions just embellished the score towards the back end of the second half. Almost played through there by Hatfield. Hatfield goes down and Beagley was untidy there more than anything else. He can protest his innocence all he likes. Hatfield was waiting, just begging for contact there, and Beagley duly obliged by racing out off his line. He had to close him down, but was a little bit untidy in doing so, and a free kick in a very dangerous position. That was lovely football by Lions as well, moving the ball forward around the edge of the penalty area there. City needs to switch on, and switch on quick. If they're to get anything from this game and not make it 4 without a win. Wind's starting to howl a little bit. A few sponsor boards going flying up here in the commentary box. Looks like Andy Thompson fancies himself here. Joe Duckworth standing over the ball as well. It will be Thompson. Straight into the wall. Once again, Jesse Rigby, who just leaps and jumps like a jack-in-the-box from everywhere on the field. No matter where he jumps from, he always seems to end up with his head on the ball. No matter how far away that was and in what angle he needs to contort his body into to do that. He still managed to spring off the end of that wall and make contact in the middle. Is there a little bit of a shove there from Solorzano? That's what Alex King saw. Another free kick for Lions. Solorzano looks pretty aghast at that decision. Alex King refereeing his first NPL game of the season tonight. Admitted to being a little rusty, but he's had a pretty good game so far, as you'd expect from one of the country's top referees. Free kick is swung in dangerously. Clancy came, got enough on it, took it off the head of Matthias Simic, who just rubs his temple a little bit. Perhaps wore one on the back of the head there. Clancy had to go for it. Certainly no suggestion of any wrongdoing, and Andy Thompson wanders over to the near side of the field to take what will be a long throw. Carlos got free. The head was Duckworth. It's headed away by Jones, not very far. Rigby mops up. It'll be a Brisbane City throw. Has been a goal at Briggs Road just before half-time there, and it's gone the way of the Thunder. And an avalanche of goals up in Mackay. It's all of a sudden 2-1 to the Magpies Crusaders as Kim goes on the overlap. Sayers did well to just close down the angle. That's a lovely ball inside to Kim, towards Mitch Hoare. Sean Carlos, now Hatfield. Cross comes in by Thompson. Did that kiss for crossbar? I think it might have done, you know. Kim back to Mitch Hoare. He's got a bit of space. Inside to Jason Makwase. Makwase looking to find space to shoot. He's not going to get that space. Good defence from Brisbane City. Frantic, albeit. And that was a poor cross in the end by Thompson. Comfortably gathered by Clancy, and Brisbane City can take a deep, deep breath. Rigby. Good ball over top towards Alex Fechner. Thompson did just enough, but Fechner did make his presence felt, and then Simic did catch Solorzano and instantly made out that it wasn't intentional, and the two former teammates once again shake hands now, so Might have been a bit of a nasty challenge from Simic, but not intentional as he tried to stretch for the ball, or at least that's what he'll be saying. And all the evidence supports that as well. Free kick, quite a central position in order to get an angle on it. Too far out to shoot, you'd think. There was a little bit of a conflab between Lockie Sayers, Jesse Rigby, and that's a decent effort though in the end by Simmons. It'd have to be something pretty special to beat Luke Breen from there though, and Breen was well to get that. Jeske does well to just cut out Sean Carlos, and that prompted an angry shout from the Lions bench beneath us to our right. Well watched and well backtracked by Mark Stewart to get his head onto that. Alex Fechner's going to crab across field, and he ghosts past defenders like they're not moving. Fechner. That was a disappointing way for that move to end, just trying to thread the needle through to Solozano. Rigby has the ball now, though. Here is the ball at the feet of Solozano. That's where Brisbane City want it. Now wide to Simmons, who's proved plenty adept with the ball at his feet. Cross was a good one. Fenner didn't make enough of an effort to get that ball, and Lions will break free, but looked like Jason McQuarrie had zero inclination to chase that. It will be a throw-in over on the far side for Brisbane City, who once again have been sparked into life by conceding, but they're now 2 goals in arrears, and you do wonder where the goals are going to come from, if not from the foot of Alex Simmons, who has showed a fair bit of promise up front. Can't do it all himself at the moment. There was a Lions player offside, and it was Duckworth. He left it well alone, although what is interfering with play these days? Mitch Hoare continued his run, but Clancy got there first. It's hammered upfield by Stewart. Fechner jumped. Beagley takes up the mantle. Plays the ball wide towards Alex Fechner. Fechner had a lot to do. He goes to deck. Thompson got enough of the ball and then managed to entice a touch from Alex Fechner, who throws his arms out in disgust. But again, Alex King in an ideal position, and judging by the body language of the supporters away to our left, that might well have been the right decision. Beagley put his hands in the back of Duckworth there. He just asked Alex King to make a decision, really. It wasn't seen, and that's something that Nathan Beagley might want to check out, or at least cut out of his game, because you just don't want to give the referee an option in those situations. All right, that was on the halfway line, but you do that in your own penalty area, and all of a sudden you've given away an extremely soft penalty. Brisbane City will need to look at that. Play with such tremendous promise, Nathan Beagley. Got a lovely delivery from the left. When he gets a run on, his crossing on the run is exceptional. He just hasn't been afforded that opportunity as yet. Has space now, though. If Rigby can find him, it will be tasked to Stewart to find his former under-20s teammate here at City. Beagley does get the ball in the end. Lovely touch from Fechner. Not quite intentional, I don't think. Stewart, no nonsense. Now it's opened up ahead of him, so he goes down the middle. Took a deflection. It'll be a throw into Brisbane City on this near side, just in front of the dugout. Nick Green and Billy Lumley just having a little bit of a discussion. Pinballing around there for a moment on the edge of the penalty area. An adventurous jump from Sayers. Kim. Again, Sayers using his head. Now he's going to have to use his head in a different way up against Mitch Hoare. Mitch Hoare plays the ball back inside to Sean Carlos. Hoare gets it back. Jason McQuarrie. An awkward one. Jared. And then he absolutely slammed into Jeske, who didn't move. That'll be a corner. Awkward one to deal with for Lockie Sayers. All a little bit untidy for a moment there. Lions taking their time in getting into position for this one. Andy Thompson does have a long way to go, in fairness. Every single player crowding around Jake Clancy in the 6-yard box. Just 4, 2 from each side on the edge of the penalty area. Those 2 for Lions are Joe Duckworth and Mitch Hoare. Clancy will gather on the edge of his 6-yard box though. Nobody else jumped. Here's Alex Fechner. Goes to deck. Clumsy challenge by Rindle South, but needed to be made just to disrupt City's attacking flow on that counter-attack. Sayers goes long towards Kai Fechner. The jump by Simmons, ineffective, and Lions will counter-attack now. Poor touch by Duckworth. Good ball by Stewart towards Solozano. Solozano doing battle with Thompson. It will be a free kick. Handball against Thompson, I think, is the call. Or is it a corner? Alex King is wandering over to perhaps suggest that it will be slightly closer to the action, this ball being delivered from. That is going to be the case. What can City muster here? Alternative tack, one mustering in the D with only a couple of players in the 6-yard box. The only player in a blue shirt there is Giancarlo Solozano. Chipped over the top towards the back post. Breen came, tripped over his own player. That could have been awkward. Mitch Hoare it was who slipped first. Chance goes begging, you have to say, and Breen will get possession of the ball and will just about take it back inside his own area and pick it up. 16 and a half minutes gone, apologies, in this second half, and Breen hammers that one upfield. Beagley with the strong header. Alex Fechner up against Thompson, has a couple of different stabs at it. Fechner with the throw quickly. It's good football from Alex Fechner. Beagley. What can Simmons conjure in that situation? Just a pass back to Alex Fechner, who launches that one crossfield. Really good ball in the end. Well, it was made to look a good ball by Rigby. Cross came in from that far side of the field, and Sayers. Hoare going back towards goal, heads the ball. It's all up in the air at the moment, perhaps with the state of this field. That's for the best. Good touch by Simmons. Once again, Stewart launching an attack, but again it's a wayward ball, and it will be a goal kick. No, Breen keeps it in, as is his wont, and he'll just encourage Solozano closer for a little bit of a chat. Time working against Brisbane City at the moment. Stewart heads that one out under pressure from Duckworth. Half-time in Ipswich and Mackay. 2-1 in Mackay, 2 Magpies Crusaders over Redlands United. 1-0 to the Thunder out in Ipswich. Thompson delivers the ball into the penalty area now. Free header, was it for Duckworth? Still there on the edge of the area for Mitch Hoare. He'd so like a goal against his former club, but to do so he'd have to get it past Clancy, and the Brisbane City shot stopper did ever so well there, diving down to his right. Note to self, don't say City shot stopper in quick fire ever again. Apologies for that if you are offended. It was utterly unintentional. City on the attack now. And if you didn't notice, well, I've just drawn attention to it anyway. Ball inside to Alex Fechner. Alex Fechner on an amazing run. It's still at the feet of Alex Fechner. It didn't quite sit up for him. It does sit up for his brother. And just over the crossbar, took a deflection. It will be a corner. Lovely football from Brisbane City and the 2 Fechner boys. Almost getting a goal back for Brisbane City. Lovely football. Corner swept in at the near post, headed away though. No City player in attendance. It'll come straight back though by Matt Jones. Was it Lockie Sayers? Challenging Luke Berean was Jesse Rigby. Luke Berean did really well to take that high mark. How's that for a ball out from the hand straight towards Joe Duckworth? Joe Duckworth on the shot! Oh, it whistles past the post. End-to-end stuff here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. But the scoreline remains Brisbane City 0, Lions 2, and 20 minutes gone in this second half. Time is running out for City to make something of it. Short work at the back, almost put City under all sorts of trouble. Nathan Beagley. Fechner misjudged it. So did Sean Carlos. Jeske gets things back and on level pegging. Inside to Kai Fechner towards Alex. Simmons. It's out for a throw-in. Alex Fechner will take. Lovely ball back inside by his brother. Fechner will deliver this one deep into the penalty area. Beagley's there. It's flicked on. Jeske, uncompromising, wins the header. It's out wide via Rigby to Sayers. Sayers over the top, back towards Rigby. Lovely football, nice control. It wasn't Rigby, I'm afraid. It was Kai Fechner. I won't use the excuse of the numbers, but really, who can tell? Not from this angle, anyway. Note to Brisbane City management. Use white numbers next time. Onside, I think Duckworth was. So was Hatfield. 3-0. Starting to get comfortable for Lions now. That's Hatfield's 5th goal of the season. He scored the last goal against Brisbane City all the way back in round 6. It was just too easy for Lions. Duckworth was onside. Beagley is protesting that point. Perhaps some suggestion of a handball, maybe. Wasn't spotted by the officials either way. And it is 3. And Brisbane City now have conceded 10 without reply to Lions since they last found the back of the net against their long-time rivals. And that is not a statistic that they'll be wanting to get any worse. Some inexplicable reason, Luke Berean changed his gloves, or at least took his gloves off, and is now struggling to get them back on. This is one crazy cat, is Luke Berean, you have to say. Berean's still struggling to get his gloves on. Alex King eventually ran out of patience and just got the game underway anyway. Straps flapping in the breeze. Berean launches this one upfield as far as it will go so he can get those gloves back on. It's just shepherded out there. Lovely flick on by Duckworth. Over the top towards Makwaze. There's Makwaze. Back inside towards Hatfield. That's 4. Oh, this is turning into a nightmare for Brisbane City, and it's a nightmare they have already had. Two goals in as many minutes for Chris Hatfield. He gets his 2nd of the night. It's a pair each for Makwaze and the former South West Queensland Thunder man. And Brisbane City are just being picked apart at the moment at the back. So much time and space to get that ball under control, Chris Hatfield. Prior to tonight, he hadn't scored for 9 games. Chris Hatfield, after going on a bit of a flurry after scoring against City. Neither of them have been spectacular. Type of goal that he has made his name for. But they all count. And City once again under pressure at the back. It was flicked up by Rigby, that has helped, and Beagley cushions that ball over the top. It's an awkward one that Simic deals with expertly back towards Brian, who does have his gloves on properly now. With just under 20 minutes remaining, give or take stoppage time. This is starting to look like a very ugly scoreline. Carlos went down under the attentions of Rigby, and we're going to go back for that. Advantage being played, and Rigby played the ball rather firmly back towards the incident. Too much in it, certainly a foul perhaps, but nothing more than that. We are going to see a substitution. It'll be Nathan Shepherd who is coming on, and Jason Makwaze's day is done. Interesting that Marek Madley is not being used. Nathan Shepherd, who has 3 goals to his name this season, the 27-year-old Scot from Paisley. One of those did come against City in round 6. I feel like I've said that a lot, but sadly there were 7 different goal scorers, so if I'm mentioning their goal scoring record this season, it's more than likely that it's going to come up on weight of average. Kai Fechner cushions that one on the thigh, plays the ball out wide towards Simmons. Simmons keeps it in well. Simmons goes back to Sayers, and that ball goes back out the ground. Shepherd scored last week against East in that 3-0 victory. Also grabbed a goal against Brisbane Strikers. As soon as lets the ball do the work, it's dropping deeper now to pick up possession. That pass wasn't a good one, straight into the crowd, and appears to be Brisbane City taking their time now, getting that ball back into play. Perhaps they're fearing another onslaught. Kai Fechner getting into some close attentions with Mitch Hoare. Oh, that's really lovely football by Hatfield. Let the ball do all the work, then goes round the outside of Stewart. Cross comes in. Was there a handball? Alex King says no. Hatfield seemed convinced, but how's his confidence grown in the second half? He's just playing some fantastic football. Joe Duckworth and Chris Hatfield, apologies. Joe Duckworth's doing all right as well. He flicks this one on now. Mitch Hoare was there. Jeske clears. It's going to come straight back though. This time Rigby clears. Headed out by Tommy Jarrett. Alex Fechner just posing enough of a threat to make Simic hammer that ball out the field. (4-0) here. It's also 4-0 at Carrara. Gold Coast Knights having a party down there against Peninsula Power. Two goals inside 3 minutes in the second half. After that second goal came shortly after the break. Lovely football from Duckworth. Here's an opportunity for the new man Shepherd. It's well shepherded by Jones. Rigby. Kim gets there ahead of Kai Fechner. Jeske stretches a boot up. And Kim puts a strong challenge in. On Lockie Sayers, we're going to see a double substitution for Brisbane City. One of those players is Marquez Waters, the other Kai Bolton. It's a triple substitution. Might be too late though. Here is Chris Hatfield twisting and turning, and now all of a sudden the shot came in from Joe Duckworth. Straight at Jake Clancy. Yes, triple substitution. Dan McHenry's coming on as well, another former Western Pride player gracing this pitch. Here's one of them now. Lovely work from Rigby, got the ball out from under his feet quickly, out towards Sayers. Sayers looking for an option ahead of him. One of those options is flying out to that far touchline. Simmons looking for an option ahead of him. Back into the middle. For Solozano, Kai Fechner, 4-1. It may be little more than consolation, but you never know. Football's a funny game. And Kai Fechner gets his second goal of the season. Lovely work from Solozano. Head that ball back across towards Kai Fechner. But let's see who's coming off. Sayers. Kai Fechner. I think that's Simmons as well who's made way. Kai Bolton, Marquez Waters, and Dan McHenry. Charged with turning this game around. Has the tide shifted somewhat with that goal? Here's Waters. Doesn't get ahead on that despite the impressive plumage. Tia Simic shows him how it's done. Mitch Hoare linking up with Thompson. Alex Fechner just doing enough to put Andy Thompson off there. Rigby does well, battling hard against Mitch Hoare. Ball's at the feet of Jake Clancy. Stranger things have happened. 15 minutes remaining, including stoppage time. It's Kai Bolton's first touch. He has to go all the way back to Clancy and do the left-footed Clancy any favours by playing it so wide to his right. Marquez Waters is using a little bit too much body there to win the header. Free kick to Lions. Just a reminder that every single National Premier League Queensland game is being live streamed this season. You'll be able to catch a match of a round in the National Premier League's women's competition and the Football Queensland Premier League. You'll be able to catch all of the details for those matches on footballqueensland.com.au. And we've got a couple of absolute crackers coming up for you next week from the National Premier League's Queensland, if that's where your interest lies. 2 games being live streamed back to back. Peninsula Power against Olympic. Rafe will be up there at AJ Kelly for that one. Will Peninsula Power hit back against Olympic after tonight's disappointment down on the Gold Coast? And then I'll be down on the Gold Coast for the derby. United against Knights down at Talabudra at Coplex. Brisbane City suddenly look like they have some impetus here and look like they want to create a bit of a shock. Alex Fechner. Space was there to get the shot away. And then that was a powerful header by Rigby. Again, he just manages to get up. Played that ball forward, but nobody was able to get onto the end of it. Rigby once again. Doing so well. Jones almost got caught out though. Stewart, he's being challenged by Hatfield. Links up well with Rigby, but then it's a little bit too heavy for the return pass to Beagley. No change in any of the other scores around the grounds tonight. Gold Coast Knights leading Peninsula Power by 4-0. 10 minutes remaining there. Western Pride trailing South West Queensland Thunder. Second half is 7 minutes old out in Ipswich, and it's 8 minutes old in Mackay. The Magpies Crusaders United are leading Redlands United by 2-1. Lots of interest down at the bottom of the table for that one. 5 teams all fighting against each other to avoid relegation. Redlands United have been probably the best in recent weeks of that bottom 5. A huge win for the Magpies Crusaders team that have been in a fair bit of turmoil recently. What appears to be turmoil from a distance. I could be wrong. Clancy goes wide. Oh, neat one-touch football from Brisbane City here, but just doesn't quite come off over on that far side of the field. Lions will have an opportunity. We are going to see a substitution, and Nathan Reardon is coming on. Another player who scored against City last time out. 32, former Wolf. He's replacing Chris Hatfield, so no hat-trick for Hatfield. Just as there will be no hat-trick for Jason McQuarrie, both those players off the field. Some confusion. Didn't look like Nathan Reardon wanted to go on all of a sudden, having his energy gel. That might make a little bit of difference. Michael Lyle has returned to the Magpies Crusaders club. That's what I meant by saying they were in turmoil. He had said that he was not going to be playing anymore. A guy who scored so many goals in the local competition up in and around Mackay, and has continued that goal-scoring form in the National Premier League's Queensland as Lions play the ball around on the edge of the penalty area. Doing battle over on that far side is Shepherd. Will be a corner. So just under 10 minutes remaining. 4-1 is an improvement of sorts. Nick Green will know that this game was always going to be tough. Doesn't get any easier. City will travel to Heath Park to take on an east side that features so many former Brisbane City players next time out. Oh, it's a little bit of a fumble there by Clancy. And Clancy was standing towering over, I think, Reardon. Standing towering over him, very upset with what he perceived to be an infringement, and that was the opinion of Alex King as well. Oh, that's a solid collision there. Tommy Jarrod and Nathan Beagley, both players got up. Beagley with another challenge. Beagley gets the ball again, puts that one towards Marquez Waters. It's going to fall, is it, for Kai Bolton? No, it's not. Waters mops up his own miscontrol. Lovely from Marquez Waters. He's going to make his way to the edge of the penalty area. The shot was perhaps ill-advised. Kai Bolton might want to pull the trigger. Rigby plays it back to Kai Bolton. Needs an option, does Bolton. The option is wide. But cross comes in, and it was flicked over the top by Simic. Better football from Brisbane City. What would another goal here do to this contest? Make it more interesting, I'd have thought. Lions falling asleep somewhat. Decent corner. Guess who? Jesse Rigby, who got his head to that one, as you'd expect. Luke Breen doesn't have a ball. It looked like he perhaps helped it through that gap between the net and the fencing. Looks like a Brisbane City committee member making his way over to get that ball back. He's trying to play it through the same gap. And we will be able to play on eventually. Luke Breen wanting perhaps to take a little bit of the heat out of this Brisbane City attack. It has been a good fight back from Brisbane City. Can Mitch Hoare snuff it out here with a goal? Not if he can't get the ball past Nathan Beagley, it won't. Flicked on. It's falling very kindly. That's a good save by Clancy. I credited him with one erroneously in the first half, but there's no mistaking that one. Duckworth got every single bit of that. And Jake Clancy was on hand to pad it over the crossbar. That would have stung a little as well. Really good hit from Joe Duckworth on the edge of the penalty area. It was matched by a really good save by Jake Clancy. Looks like a line supporter has been charged with going to get the ball. We are running out of spare balls here. Most of them have ended up in the creek. It's an age-old problem here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Lions look like they're going to use the opportunity to make a substitution, and I think it might be Liam Walpole who is coming on. He won't come on yet. Guess who? Jesse Rigby at the near post, heads that ball clear, but it's going to come straight back. Lovely ball inside by Mitch Hoare. It's swept in. Clancy gathers though. Had to take that ball off the head of Matthias Simic. Oh, that's a collision. Rigby absolutely arrowed towards Nathan Reardon there, and there will be a little bit of a conversation going on. He's a ball of muscle, isn't he? Jesse Rigby. That was a collision that we all felt up here in the grandstand. Final substitution is being made, and it is Sean Carlos, who hasn't had his best game tonight, I think it's safe to say. He's been replaced by Liam Walpole, 1 goal in his 13 matches so far this season for the former Raw under-20 player and Strikers junior. I feel like a broken record. That goal did come against Brisbane City in round 6. Mitch Hoare slipped, but still managed to get possession. Tried to return the ball back inside, a repeat trick. But this time there was no Lions players in attendance. Mitch Hoare might be in a spot of bother here. He's just limping away a little as he makes his way back into the middle. Marcus Waters with the head to Alex Fechner. Alex Fechner still with the ball at his feet. Plays the ball wide to Solozano. Solozano has Beagley on the overlap. Chooses to ignore him. Plays the ball back inside towards Kai Bolton. Bolton and Fechner getting in each other's way a little. And substitute, the physio needs to come straight on, according to Alex King. So I wonder if there's a little bit of blood perhaps coming from Nathan Reardon, or else he is finally succumbing to that colossal hit that we may well see more of in Perth at State of Origin next week, on Sunday, apologies. We did have some concerns about Matthias Simic's ribs in the first half. I think we're concerned about just about every organ inside Nathan Reardon's body after that hit. Colossal contact. And I'll tell you what as well, it looked like Jesse Rigby lined him up. Came from a long way and he was going to make contact no matter what. And I do think he has just winded Nathan Reardon. I think he's just told Alex King, hang on, I need a bit of a breather here. And I think anyone who saw or indeed heard that collision may well need it. He's just washing his hands. Maybe there might have been a bit of contact to the hand that might have resulted in some sort of dislocation. You see that happen on occasion, and bodies get smashed and players only realise when they go to tuck their shirt in or some such. And Alex King did call the Lions physio on with some alacrity after blowing the whistle, so must have been some sort of serious nature to it. He's walking off under his own steam, Nathan Reardon, so looks like he will be okay, although Lions will be down to 10 men for the next minute or so. With this corner that's swept in by Alex Fechner. Solozano was making a nuisance of himself to Barin. But Barin claimed and claimed well. Barin just about went to every single inch of his penalty area there. Ball playing that ball upfield. Kim, head by Fechner. And here's Solozano. It's opened up for Solozano. He's going to fire from distance. It was straight into the body of Simic. He might have another opportunity here, but just gets caught underneath his feet, and it'll be the Lions' number 8, Mitch Hoare, who plays the ball forward, and he certainly did get a little bit of a tug from Daniel McHenry, two players who know each other fairly well, having played in this league over the course of the last 4 or 5 years in opposition. And it was just a friendly tap on the shoulder as he went past from Dan McHenry. Lions are back to their full complement. Simic plays this ball wide towards Duckworth. Duckworth back inside. And Walpole wins the free kick. It's a rather resigned shrug of the shoulders from Mark Stewart. The customary arms out pleading from Nathan Beagley. Free kick in a dangerous position to deliver this ball into the middle. We are in time added on here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Should be easy for Clancy to claim. All goals remain the same around the grounds in the southeast corner of Queensland, and indeed up in the north in Mackay. That's a slightly weak back pass. Boreen did well. Marcos Waters was lurking, chasing that ball down. That's a decent looking ball from Walpole, but it never found its way all the way through to Reardon. Shepherd, apologies. Here's Walpole. Walpole's going to get the return pass. Henry did well. Jeske can't beat Shepherd. Kim, the acrobatic flick back towards goal. Solozano will continue to chase. Beagley does well. Beagley will continue his run inside Solozano. Solozano will do well to find him, but Solozano cuts back inside on his own. Rigby wants it played inside. Rigby making his way into the penalty area. Rigby making his way towards goal. Played back towards Alex Fechner. In fact, that's Alex Fechner. It's 4-2. Far too late for Brisbane City to do anything about it, you'd think. Was it Alex Fechner or Kai Bolton? Who knows? The numbers are nearly indistinguishable from each other. And they both have long, blonde, flowing locks. See if I can see from a replay. Either way, Brisbane City have got a goal back. 4-2 makes the scoreline look respectable, and I think Alex King is going to blow up pretty swiftly. In fact, he does do so immediately. So a little bit of pride restored for Brisbane City. 11 goals in a row conceded against Lions before 2. The run is now in favour of Brisbane City. 2 goals without reply. But it is 6 points that they have ceded to their great rivals. Here it'll be a good night for Lions because Gold Coast Knights have beaten Peninsula Power by 4-0. I'm just looking at the replay now. Yes, the initial shot was by Bolton, and it was Alex Fechner who got the goal, his second of the night. So we've Ty Fechner who got the first one. So a brace for the Fechner boys in totality. And a brace for Chris Hatfield and a brace for Jason McQuarrie, the difference. Morningside taking all 3 points back to Richlands tonight, much to the joy of their supporters, who are here in relatively good numbers at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. There has been a goal in Ipswich, and it's gone the way of Western Pride. So Western Pride have managed to get a goal back. 65 minutes gone there. It's still 2-1 to Magpies Crusaders. So many matches having an impact in terms of the relegation fight here in the National Premier League's Queensland. So, as the table stands, Peninsula Power have 51 points, Lions have 47 and a game in hand, so that could be reduced to just 1 point. Gold Coast Knights jump above Olympic into third spot on 42 points. Olympic will play tomorrow against Sunshine Coast at Goodwin Park. It's one of 3 games taking place tomorrow. Moreton Bay United playing on the Sunday up at Water Park against Brisbane Strikers, and the Roar will host Gold Coast United at Logan Metro Sports Park. Logan will be the scene of Gold Coast hoping to narrow the gap to Olympic should Sunshine Coast pull off a real shock tomorrow night. Sunshine Coast are bottom on 4 points. The live table, ignoring the results happening elsewhere that are still in progress. Western Pride are in 14th spot on 9 points. That'll move up to 10 if they get the points tonight against the South West Queensland Thunder, who will move up a point to 12. Magpies Crusaders will move to 14 to narrow the gap to Redlands on 16 if things stay the way they are. The rest of the results, Brisbane Roar with a win over Gold Coast United could move ahead of Brisbane City. It'll be on goal difference. Moreton Bay United are in 8th on 25. Brisbane Strikers 7th on 27. East and Gold Coast United are both on 31 points. Easts have the bye this weekend. Well, we'll wrap things up here. Just a reminder that Jared will be behind the mic on Sunday at 4 o'clock for Sunshine Coast Wanderers against Logan up there at Ballinger Park from the Football Queensland Premier League competition. 2 games in progress, 2 games that occurred in that competition tonight. Wynnum Wolves getting the better of South United 3-2. Capella smashing Holland Park Hawks by 5 goals to 2. But we'll wrap things up here from Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Brisbane City restoring some pride in the second half after falling 4 goals behind midway through the half. It was a brace to Jason McQuarrie that got things underway in the first half. He added to his score early in the second, and then 2 goals in as many minutes for Chris Hatfield really took the game away from Brisbane City, and that is a period of the game that did eventually cost City. Maybe Lions took their foot off the gas, but Kai Fechner managed to reduce the arrears to 3 in the 75th minute, and then Alex Fechner in injury time managed to get a consolation to narrow the gap to 2. But Lions will march on. They take on Strikers at Perry Park next week, perhaps looking for revenge from their FFA Cup defeat there. City travel to East, as we've already mentioned. 2 live games for you next weekend. Peninsula Power against Olympic at 5 o'clock up at AJ Kelly, and then Gold Coast United against Gold Coast Knights in the Gold Coast Derby at Talabudra from 7. Rafe will be up in Redcliffe, and I will be down on the coast for you next week. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. We hope you enjoy the rest of the football. Go Matildas tomorrow morning against Norway. 5 o'clock kickoff in that one. You'll be able to watch that on SBS. So best of luck to the Matildas. That's where we'll end things here at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Lions running our winners by 4 goals to 2. Good evening.